Co, Kentucky Peerless Distilling Company's master distiller, Caleb Kilburn. We're all having a little whiskey. Cheers to you all, and thanks for joining. How y'all doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good, great.
Thanks so much for having us. Always excited to have a cocktail or a pour with you in my case.
Well, I wanted to give both you and Kim a good reason to today, and what's brought us all together. Several different things. Obviously, we want to talk to Kim about the grand scope of what's been happening with the USBG Foundation, but also Caleb there at Kentucky Peerless since the start of really the lockdown, restaurants, bars being shut down. Peerless took some steps to really do something great to help the USBG.
Absolutely. I mean, when Peerless first started releasing products, when we first started having our whiskey out into the marketplace, it was really our focus to make sure that we formed a really lasting and really deep relationship with bartenders, both here locally within the city of Louisville, but around the country. And they have been amazing advocates for us. The primary place where people get their first sip of Peerless is in a on-premise account, a bar or a restaurant. And so we've always done our best to support them by, in addition to training and different programs, we've also chose not to open up Peerless as a cocktail bar. Some distilleries are featuring cocktails and getting in competition with bars. Mm-hmm. That's not something we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that we were always in support. But looking at the situation with COVID, with so many restaurants and bars shutting down, we actually decided, we talked with ownership, and we decided to take a portion of our single barrel sales through our gift shop, because we are still doing curbside retail, and we are donating to the USBG. It's one of those things that's just what we felt was the right thing to do.
That's awesome, and such delicious single barrels, and quite a great way to help get some great whiskey in whiskey enthusiasts' hands, and also to help out the USBG, right, Kim?
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Just to give you some context, when news first broke out that, restaurants are going to be closing and bartenders were out of work, within 40, and normally with our grant, we've given grants to bartenders that go through some kind of catastrophic event, whether it's a fire or most recently, prior to this, was the Nashville tornadoes. And we've been giving out grants since 2015. Normally, we give out about 12 to 25 grants a quarter, which is doable, and it was a much more manual process. When it was announced that states were closing down restaurants, it was like the week of St. Patrick's Day. Within 48 hours, we had 40,000 applications. And then that number doubled after a couple of days, and now we're just under 300,000 applications. And according to government statistics, there are 700,000 bartenders in the United States. So we've gotten applications from just less than half of that number, which is insane. It's crazy. So as you can imagine, I mean, just the need is so out there, and our grants range from $150 to $500. So every little bit counts, and it goes a long way.
That's incredible. So again, usually it was someplace around 50. You said 50 a year?
It would be like anywhere from 12 to 25 grants a quarter, approximately. That was kind of our, and again, it was a manual process. We had one person that was calling every applicant, but now we've had to completely pivot and upgrade our technology. We have we've trained over 500 volunteers to actually help us screen and vet all of the applications. So it's really heartwarming to see so many donors like yourself from Peerless come forward and really step and help with the problem, because there's just so much need out. There's still a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what, every state is a little bit different. Every city is a little bit different. So there's still a lot of anxiety and angst and uncertainty out there of what's going to happen.
Right. No, it is so important. And I think a lot of people that are watching in the industry, of course, know who the USBG is and about the USBG Foundation. But just so that we'll have kind of an understanding of the foundation, tell us just briefly kind of an overview.
Yeah. So we have the USBG, that's the United States Bartenders Guild, and that's been around since the 1930s. And that's a 501c6. And we have chapters all over the country, Houston, Dallas, San Francisco, New York City. And they're primary mission for the guild is more educational, more networking, more to build up bartending as a professional organization. So that's the USBG, that's the guild. We started the foundation back in like 2014, and we really did it as a way to get help to bartenders in need. I mean, as a bartender myself years ago, I know that a lot of bartenders just don't have a large safety net. So if something happens, they get into a car accident, their place of work burns down, they just don't have a large safety net to fall back on. They may have insurance, but it might not be that great of insurance. So we knew that there needed to be something out there specifically for bartenders that if a catastrophic event happens and they can't get into work and earn tips, you know, to have something to fall back on in emergency situations. But what makes this one especially hard is that, you know, when a catastrophe happens, let's say their bar ends up, you know, burning down or whatever, that's tragic, of course, but they can go and apply to a restaurant down the street. And right now there really is no restaurant down the street to apply to. So it's really affecting, you know, everyone and on every level. And I'm sure you've seen, you know, the closings of like Pegu Club and some of the institutions in the US. And that just goes to show you that no matter where you are, who you are, everybody's affected by this crisis.
Right. Right. Everybody, it's true. There's so many that are affected, and Kayla, I'm sure you can speak. I mean, obviously, there's so many towns that really are hospitality centric, but Louisville is really a prime example of a city that's become more and more hospitality friendly. Tourism being so important to Kentucky and to Louisville. What's it been like in Louisville? What have you seen, and what do you see going forward?
Well, I mean, it's talking about Peerless specifically. I mean, tours and retail and just people come through the front door was such a rewarding and profitable portion of our business that when that got shut down, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it was for the good. It is what we need to do. We're all in this together to beat this disease, but it took a toll on us. It's taking a toll on us. But fortunately, there are other venues for us to profit by selling whiskey through liquor stores and through other means. So we've been blessed in that we're in an industry as far as on the production side where we can continue to profit and be a viable company. And that's why really we were able to, and why we felt the need to give back to those who may not be in that situation.
Right.
As you mentioned, Louisville is, it's bourbonism. People come here, they take tours. So the local economy, it's not doing great because so much of that tourism was built on people coming from out of state, people traveling, people being comfortable to go into a room full of people and everybody exchange and try and everything be good. It's going to take a lot of time for us to get back to normal. Right. But we all have faith that we're going to get there. Yeah. The amount of outcry and support of people here locally, I don't know exactly how things are in your neck of the woods, but here in Louisville, everyone's been abiding by. It's been almost a civic responsibility and a big point of pride for the people of Kentucky to make sure that we're handling this thing responsibly. And luckily, there are people like us and others who feel the civic need to give where we can. Right.
Absolutely, that's so important, and I'm actually trying to keep track of all the different states where bars, restaurants are reopening slowly. I think it must be just to understand it. I mean, I understand this region and a few other regions like LA and New York that we follow, but it's rolling back out slowly. And for consumers that are saying, hey, bartenders, restaurant, hospitality employees are getting back to work. They're okay now. It's maybe going to be a while before everybody's okay, right, Kim? I mean, can you speak to that a little bit?
And I think again, there's just so much uncertainty. I mean, right now I'm seeing a lot of angst with bartenders because they're saying, "Hey, we're being called back into work, but I don't know, I'm not making as much money as I was, or people aren't tipping, or no one's wearing face masks, but I have to go into to work." So there's just still a lot of because everyone's opening in a different way, and there's just still a lot of anxiety and angst and uncertainty. So I think we'll it'll be interesting to see like what happens in the next 4 to 6 weeks for a lot of those bars and restaurants in certain states that are opening up and aren't really practicing social distancing. Let's just, I guess it'll be a good case study. We'll see what happens up here in the coming weeks.
Right.
But
that when you look at so many places where childcare hasn't opened back up yet, so
Right.
many people are dependent on outside help to watch children, to allow people to work. If you have a young child at home, there's no outlet for that beyond family, or if you have a spouse who can stay home with them. I mean, it's something that's affecting everyone in that regard.
Yeah,
that's very true. So it's so important that we keep on supporting the USBG Foundation. How can people learn how to? Obviously, we want to keep buying those single barrels from Peerless, but otherwise, people watching across the country, how can they keep on supporting the USBG Foundation?
Yeah, we can go to usbgfoundation.org. Right there on the homepage is a way to donate, and no amount is too small. So, we've had a lot of bartenders donate themselves, like, hey, this is how much I would tip on a round of drinks, or this is the equivalent to my night out. I'll donate that instead. So, and to some brands that want to do more than that, they can donate on the page, or they can reach out to us directly, and we can help come up with a interesting or fun campaign like Peerless is doing. So I think there are a lot of different ways to give back and to help support. We, just as a quick note, we raised about $8 million right now, total committed, and we've already dispersed this week. It'll be $6 million. So we're almost through all of our funds. So we need to keep that fundraising train going so we can continue to meet the demand.
So while obviously lots, and that's so important to talk about, and I'm glad you're telling us, Kim, again, down below, usbgfoundation.org, brands log on, consumers log on. I think that there was obviously a lot of people that cared in the beginning, and there still are, but they have to be reminded that it's not over yet. We have to keep on helping hospitality, right? That's so important.
Right. And I think, and I think the situation is going to be different for everybody. I like the analogy of we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. People are affected differently. Some people are on a yacht, might be uncomfortable, but they're fine. Other people are on, a life preserver and don't know how to swim.
Right.
And I think the situation's also going to continue to evolve. So we've had quite a few recipients whose situation has improved. And so they've rescinded their application and said, hey, save that for somebody else who needs it. Meanwhile, we have people's situations who is getting worse, and they're having to, are reapplying, or their need is changing, and we prioritize our applications based on need. So the reapplying with more of that need up front. So I mean, we'll see how this, goes. I mean, but the light at the end of the tunnel is that I think our industry always thrives.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we're very resilient. We're very, we'll get through this. It may take a while. It may take a year, may take a little longer than that. Who knows? But everybody wants to get back and have a good cocktail and be with their friends, and the bar is the place to do that. So I think we will survive, but we just have a little ways to go.
The interconnectedness of, just as Caleb was mentioning earlier, I mean, Peerless from the very beginning was committed to making sure that, hey, you can have a tasting at our distillery, but, even though in Kentucky they are allowed to make cocktails, Peerless wanted to make sure they were sending tourist guests to bars, restaurants to experience that, to really support hospitality. I think, there's a real interconnectedness between distilleries, brands, bartenders, and we've seen that we've seen that interconnectivity even more since this has been happening, how reliant we all are on each other. Both of you talk about that a little bit, and just, what we can do as consumers, as fans, to try to continue to support.
Well, anybody who's participated in a fun night around a bar, or experienced cocktails with friends, or even just went out to dinner and had the occasional social drink, you have to realize that so much of that experience is predicated on having a good bartender in your corner.
Right.
These are people who make hospitable situations hospitable. So it's not just people who make juice. It's not just people who work in bars, people who are just around the industry. This should be something that we all can get behind, because even if you say you don't even drink alcohol, at the end of the day, this is a group of people who serve the greater good, who are suffering, who need help. And one point, I know we're donating proceeds from these bottles. I know that's great. But if you are interested in helping the U.S. Bartenders Guild, give to them directly or give through us to them. You don't have to just give by buying bottles and get something in return. Dollar for dollar, give to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks for that support. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of interconnectedness with bartenders in the industry, and I think that's one of the great things about this industry is that there's a lot of camaraderie, amongst bartenders and bar owners and distributors and brands, and I think everybody wants to see everybody succeed because it's the greater good. One interesting thing too is that I really think that this whole to-go component is really going to alter and change and evolve. People are gonna, one thing that has been people are talking about are the general public maybe not necessarily having the same kind of spending habits and going out to dinner like they used to,
right.
And so that may be curbed. And so one way to do that is to really enhance the to-go beverage side and really make that experience. And I would say that's the best way for people out there to support is to buy those to-go beverages, get out there, do to-go, frequent them as much as you can. I think that's really the only way these businesses are going to stay alive, to be able to support and hire those bartenders.
Do you think those laws we'll see in the states that have allowed it? I know it's a number of states that have allowed to-go cocktails to be sold by distilleries, by restaurants, bars. Do you think those we will see on the books? And how can we help the USBG distilleries? How can we all help support laws that will help hospitality to stay on the books?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The USBG typically hasn't gotten involved in like legislative movements,
right.
but we have a close relationship with Discus. So I think this could actually be the beginnings of trying to organize and do things like that, for sure. But I have a feeling that those laws and extensions are going to be, softened a bit and even extended to allow restaurants and bars to continue to do that. Hopefully, knock on wood. But and especially as I think people's appetites are going to want to have a great, unique beverage experience at home.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. Obviously, and I'm missing the experience of going in and having a bartender make something, but it's important to have those hopefully those laws softened and just something that will allow us all to thrive. Caleb, I understand that you all have taken this time to do some improvements at the distillery.
Well, I will say that has been one silver lining of having the public shut out. We've been able to do some messy maintenance, some deep cleaning, some things that aren't always pretty for a tourist coming through your facility. Things are running better, smoother. We've actually just tested out some new equipment this morning, and from actually just the distilling side of things, we've been full bore, running wide open ever since. Ever since the public was shut out, I'd say we probably filled over 300 barrels. I mean, maybe even more than that. Days, weeks, time, all is irrelevant right now. But we have absolutely been working our tails off, and we're making investments for the future. We absolutely believe that everything's coming back. Demand is coming up. It's exciting times in the whiskey industry, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely, and we're glad that obviously that liquor stores and for the most part in all states stayed open as essential businesses, and obviously we love the fact that people are still enjoying it. I'm actually enjoying a little your Peerless bourbon right now, which I'm a big fan of. And it was just about this time. Yes, about this time last year. Almost a year ago, you all were releasing the Peerless bourbon, wasn't it?
It feels like it's
about a year ago in June that you guys were releasing that.
I mean, in that amount of time for us to receive the awards that we've received, being the best Kentucky bourbon by Whiskey Magazine. I mean, it's humbling. It's unreal for a distillery that, even though we are as young as we are, in that we've only just started releasing bourbon. We had rye out 2 years ago. For something that has as deeper roots as we have to come out, resurrect a very old brand dating back to 1889, DSPKY 50. I mean, it's just special to bring back something that has so much history that we have to honor. I mean, it's been special.
It's delicious stuff, and I love it. It continues to get such wonderful accolades and feedback from the industry, and it'll be great when we can get back to your distillery and other distilleries that we love and enjoy those cocktails. Kim, remind me, you're based, is it Arizona you're based in?
Yep, I'm based in Phoenix.
You're based in Phoenix. Just a general sense of things, just where you are. I know you're keeping track of the whole country as much as possible. What do things look like in Phoenix with regard to distilleries and restaurants? And
restaurants are still closed. They plan to open up next week. Actually, I'm sorry, no, bars planned up opening next week. Some restaurants are open, some haven't opened yet. But I gotta say, like last week, they opened up all the parks, and you would have thought it was the 4th of July. Like, I mean, people were out in droves, and I understand that, but there was, absolutely zero social distancing. So like I was saying, we've been one of those states that haven't had a lot of, not nearly as many as some other states, but we're continuing to climb in cases. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, like I was saying, we'll see in the next few weeks what happens with the numbers.
Yeah, no, we hope for the best for everyone, and especially for those restaurants, bartenders, hospitality. Again, the website to log on to, USBGfoundation.org. No amount is too small. Just keep on following them for what's happening. Is there any kind of central place that you know of, Kim, that actually is keeping track of restaurant, bars, who's opening, who's across the country? Are you all doing that? I was just personally looking for a place that I could say, oh yeah, this state's waiting, this state's doing this capacity. Is there a place?
Yeah. I don't know if there's a website, but I recently got a report that stated kind of the current status of here's where all the states are right now. So I think there's a lot of companies and brands out there that are trying to pull that data for people, but I don't know of like a website that I can go to and just find that out. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I don't know either. That's why I'm like, because every time I talk to somebody each night, we do this show every night, and I'm like, I don't really know what's happening state by state. I'm trying to, but again, check out that website. Also, check out KentuckyPeerless.com to see what they're doing. How many states is your whiskey in now, Caleb? It's a lot of states.
The rye is in over 40. The bourbon is in a select few because our demand has been higher than our supply.
Right,
so
of course.
We're carry on our bourbon of states like Kentucky, Florida, New York, Texas, California. I believe Illinois has it. But we are looking to add a few states, so I'm not sure exactly which ones those are just yet.
Yeah. Keep watching. We'll continue to pass along that news. It's such wonderful whiskey. And again, if you're watching here live here on Bourbon Blog, watch us every night, bourbonblog.com/live at 8 p.m. Eastern. I think this is like the 60-something night we've been going live, and we really appreciate you all, Kim and Caleb. Hopefully we'll see you. If we don't see you in Arizona, maybe we'll see you in Kentucky at some point, Kim. But hopefully we'll see you at some point soon.
I would love to. I would love to get back there. I haven't been there in a couple years.
Have a whiskey with you. And Caleb, I know I'll be seeing you soon. As soon as things get a little better, we'll be coming into the distillery to have some wonderful whiskey and wonderful single barrels. Some new single barrels are coming, right? You have some new single barrels coming out in the next few weeks?
We are. When we open the doors, like I said, I believe it's June 8th, but I'm not positive. I believe that's when we're opening tours back up. We do anticipate having, I believe, 4 new single barrels ready by then. So it's exciting times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both so much for chatting with us here on bourbonblog.com, having a little whiskey with us. And anyone who wants to drop me a line, if you have somebody you want to see a speech or interview, or you want to talk about whiskey tastings, Tom at bourbonblog.com is my email address. Thank you, Kim and Caleb.
You.
You all.
Thanks.
Not that you needed one, but we gave you a reason to have a little whiskey.
Okay.